Let me just start out by saying this. I really believe in the local church. I know that there are people out there that are kind of negative on the local church, and is there any hope with 2/3 of our churches not growing, plateaued? Across America, 80% of churches are not growing, they're plateaued, they're declining. And I realize people are negative. And I realize a lot of people, even leaders, have given up hope. But I want you to know, Pastor, listen to me. I believe with all my heart that the best days for the local church are before us and not behind us. I believe with all my heart that God wants to do something new in your church. And my heart, as it relates to Recalibrate, is to help churches, established churches, move forward. Now, all this started for me really back in 2010 to kind of give you the genesis of Recalibrate. Back in 2010, I had a couple key leaders in my life look at me and they said, Troy, you need to figure out a way to help other pastors that are leading established churches to really help established churches, pastors that are leading churches to move their churches forward. The question that I set out in my life back in 2010 really is one question I set out to answer. What are the transferable principles for any church of any style, structure, of any church of any type? What are the transferable principles to move a church, established church forward? I set out in my life to answer that one question. Regardless of the style, regardless of the structure, regardless of the size, what are the real principles, not just some philosophical talk, but real principles that will move a church forward? I started out in 2010 and I dedicated literally 5 years of my life. I did this through my doctoral project, interviewing churches, working with other churches of all sizes besides the church I pastored, New Life. And after 5 years of research, 5 years of working with churches, I've concluded that the one transferable principle that really is what Recalibrate is all about, the one transferable principle is this. Everything, or in this case, every church, or perhaps you lead some kind of organization, but every congregation needs to recalibrate. Every church needs to stop and have what I call a cultural recalibration, or intentional times where they recalibrate, where they'll stop and they'll recalibrate their congregation. Now, the metaphor recalibrate is a simple one. Think of it like this. When your computer is slow, what does everyone tell you to do? They tell you to restart it. When your Wi-Fi is down, you call the IT people and they tell you to reset your modem. Everything needs to be recalibrated. Everything needs to stop, pause, unplug, and plug back in. And I'm convinced the reason why churches are slow, sluggish, the reason why churches are not moving forward is very simple. Is because we don't stop and recalibrate. We don't stop and literally, if you will, fire ourselves in a metaphoric way and start again. If you had asked me what's the one secret to New Life, what is it? How has New Life gone forward? How have we moved the church forward? It's been a practice that I call recalibration, where literally I will fire myself and start again. I will create day one again for leadership, if you will. When you recalibrate your church, what you're doing is you're creating a new normal. You're starting over. You're literally lighting yourself on fire. You're going back, leader. Come on, leader. You're going back to the original passion that you had, and you're going, I need to start again, and I need to lead my church. And so my goal during this Recalibrate cohort is to literally create what I call a culture of recalibration in your church. And Pastor, let me tell you, once you start a culture of recalibration, once you do that, something will happen in your church that I call it's catalytic. It's a tipping point. Something will begin to happen as your church learns how to recalibrate. And through my studies and research and my dissertation I wrote, I've concluded a church needs to intentionally, every 3 years, recalibrate. Every 3 years, every 36 months, find a culture or a rhythm of recalibration.